Coming up today on the Jaguars Squad Show post-game edition, I'm Mia O'Brien. The Jaguars defeat those hated Tennessee Titans on the road at Nissan Stadium, back-to-back for the first time since 2004-2005. Our biggest takeaways and game balls from what was an epic 25-3 win.
Brian Thomas Jr., we actually saw him catch some passes today, so that's good for the future in what was a workmanlike victory today.
Trevor Lawrence did his thing, great passing, controlled the clock, controlled the football, no turnovers. Jags got the W.
Duval! It's the Jaguars squad. Everything Jacksonville Jaguars every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the Sunshine State. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Gear up! The Jaguars Squad Show starts now.
What is going on, party people? Your Jacksonville Jaguars officially 8-4 after a 25-3 win on the road at Nissan Stadium in that house of horrors that is Nash Vegas. Alongside Tony T. Wigg, Wiggins, and Marques Ogden, I am Mia O'Brien. It's excited to hang out with you guys for the next hour as we break down this massive win for the Jaguars, what it means in terms of the AFC playoff picture, and also maybe a little new fun segment that I may have stolen from our comrades over at the Titan Squad Show. Felt appropriate after the Jaguars with with their largest margin of victory ever up in Nashville over the Tennessee Titans. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. T-Wig, let's start with you. I know you just cranked out an early 15-minute quick reaction on the Locked On Jaguars channel. Excited to hear what else you got cooking there as the Jaguars look ahead to a massive showdown with the Indianapolis Colts 1 week from right now. But let's start with you. Your biggest takeaway from this game was...
They didn't play down. In fact, they showed you who the grown-up was in the room. Like, who's the alpha dog? Who's going to take over this game? And they did it. And they did it in a massive way. It doesn't seem like a lot, and we can sit here and talk all day how the Titans aren't very good. The Titans took two really good teams down to the wire in consecutive weeks before they played Jacksonville. And I've told people, this is the NFL. Arizona is also a 3-win team. Guess what? That game was close. The Raiders, they won what? 1-2 games? Look how close that was. This shows me another step of maturity for this Jaguars team. They came out today and they flexed who they were, and they did not play down to the opponent. Remember, I said it was me versus me. They know they have a standard, and they played to that standard, and they were led by number 16, and I'm glad to say it.
I know that was one of your biggest takeaways, Marques, the play of the quarterback, a mistake-free, largely day for Trevor Lawrence up in Nash Vegas.
2 touchdowns, no interceptions, no turnovers, great throwing the football. And again, great pocket presence. I felt the offensive line today did a fantastic job, giving him lots of time to throw the football, to step up into the pocket. He was looking at his first receiver, second, through his progressions, through his reads were very good. He did not have happy feet. He did a fantastic job just doing what you're supposed to do, right? We all know the Titans struggle to score. We all know that. They scored 3 points on the first drive. After that, nothing the rest of the game. The Titans are in all kinds of woes. But as T. Wigg said, when a team is down, kick them while they're down. This is football. This is violent. It is a game where the big dog wins. It's not about being nice. This is not, this is not powder puff. This is not flag. This is football. So they did exactly what they were supposed to do against a team they should have dominated. They did it. And like you said, now 8-4, that's a much better, brighter picture in that AFC playoff race.
Marques, let's hang with you real quick. We are going to, in our third segment, discuss some of the injury updates that we've already been given from Liam Cohen, who just met with reporters at the podium in Nashville, as well as some of the players who we already know kind of where they're trending. But give us a little bit of a precursor to that. The offensive line, Walker Little exits this game in concussion protocol. Patrick McCarry already ruled out on Friday because he did not pass through the concussion protocol. So suddenly in the first half, the Jaguars are down 2 starters. Cole Van Lanen moves over from right guard, where he was subbing in for McCarry, to left tackle. everyone who's been clamoring, everyone in my mentions, T-Wig's mentions, clamoring for third rounder Wyatt Milam. You got Wyatt today. So as our resident offensive lineman in the National Football League, Marcus, tell us your initial impressions from the offensive line of the Jacksonville Jaguars on Sunday.
So I thought they did a phenomenal job. Again, it's very hard when you have guys coming in that haven't played together to play with continuity. That is the whole stress of playing offensive line. But again, the key is fundamentals, right? If you're playing left tackle or right guard, left guard, or center, you have to know the keys of the position. This is what I tell people all the time. What made my brother so good from 7th grade through 12th grade, he got coached by one great line coach, Dave Moeller, who played Virginia, who made Jonathan a phenomenal player from 12 years old till he graduated high school. By the time he got to college, NFL, he'd been doing that technique for so long. Because people forget, right, T-Wig? My brother's first year, he went to left guard. He was a starting left guard as a rookie, and he played it without missing a beat. So what I saw the Jaguars today is it's the fundamental. You've got Tony Boselli, who's regarded as one of the best offensive linemen in NFL's history, who knows the position. If I'm on that line and I can find Tony and I'm in that O-line, I'm like, hey, Tony, how do you do with this set? How do you go against this guy? How do you go against that guy? Do we want to fan out? Do I want to do more inside lean? Do I want to have more of a tilt? Like, I'll ask him things all day long. So if you're a Jaguar lineman, you are blessed to have somebody of that caliber in your building that knows the position, that play on that team, that can help you. So again, O-line, it's not like receiver or running back, like you have to play together. So I thought, like I said, 25-3, 2 touchdowns, this great pocket presence all around. I thought they did a really good job against, like you said, right, T-Wig, a professional NFL football team.
T-Wig, what say you? Because as you and I have noted a time or two on this podcast, we have to be the Walker Little defenders. As Owen chimes in, that Walker Little is going to get Trevor Lawrence hurt. Maybe that's a conversation for another time. What do you make of the physicality in the trenches, both on the offensive side of the ball today, but also on the defensive side?
Yeah, I liked it. The one I didn't like the play from Walker with Hottie, and that's what we call Hottie, who played Jihad Campbell.
Do you think he went up to Trevor after the game and said, hello, white Jesus, or what do we think?
He probably did, because I heard Hottie say some stuff and this might be hard for some of y'all to believe, but I heard Hottie say some stuff I wouldn't even think to say out of my mouth before. So, but yeah, he probably gave him the business a little bit. But Jeffrey Simmons is Jeffrey Simmons. He's a handful. I heard during the broadcast that 31 teams tried to call and trade for him, and that means the Jaguars were one of them, right? So the thing is the ball's gonna beat you sometimes. That's the way that I've heard it described. Sometimes you can't win every single play, even though coaches act like they want to win every single play. So all in all, very good game. But the thing I liked is when there was pressure, Trevor went ahead and took the sack. He didn't just heave that ball out of there and create a more of a negative play. And I just like the way that they played, and I like the way that he played even when he was under pressure. He didn't look like a guy who had been constantly under pressure. He didn't look like a guy who had gotten sacked 14 times over a 2-game stretch. And that means he has a short memory, and that's what you're going to have moving forward. So good job by the offensive line. Great job by Trevor Lawrence. I thought he mastered the game today, looking like a guy that's a top 7, top 8 quarterback. And we didn't have the full Trevor Lawrence experience today. We only got the good part of it.
Go for it, Marcus.
And let's be clear, right, T-Wig and all the fans. Yes, you always want your line to dominate every time they go on the field. But let's be real. How many Jonathan Ogdens are there? Tony Boselli's are there? Anthony Munoz are. There's not a whole, Trent Williams. How many are there? Not a lot. So in the NFL, people that you play against, they earn a paycheck too. So as a quarterback, you understand you're going to get hit at times. You're going to be under pressure at times. But again, it's how much and how often is it? Is it like 60% of the time, 50% of the time? Like, what is it? Because if a guy beats you once, twice a game, that doesn't mean you have a bad game.
Right.
Now, if it's like over and over, like, a 6-sack game like Myles Garrett had, against Baltimore, different story. But again, ladies and gentlemen, this is the NFL. The guys on the other side, they are professionals. They are big. They are strong. They are fast. And again, Trevor Lawrence understands this. You're going to get hit. playing quarterback in the National Football League. That's his part of the job. If you don't want to get hit, don't sign up for the position. It's not going to happen. You're going to get hit. You have to win more battles than you lose on a consistent basis. And they did that today. And again, 25-3, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, good pocket presence. That's what you want from your offensive line against a team that's very, very subpar.
By the way, a couple of notes from that fantastic monologue analysis there, Marcus. Number one, same goes for defensive backs. And just want to defend some of our friends out there in the secondary for your Jacksonville Jaguars. If you have a stat line, and I think I mentioned this on a previous show, of, 3 catches allowed for like 27 yards, 0 touchdowns, like that's a good day at the office, folks. And I know that there are some of you out there who, if you see someone give up 3 catches, they're having a bad day. They're going to get beat on the offensive line from time to time. And guess what? They're also going to give up catches. But if it's catches that don't result in first downs, it's okay. It's all right. Yeah. Because as Marcus said, those guys on the other side of the line get paid too, although I'm not sure a lot of those guys on the other side of the line for Tennessee will be getting paid much longer. Marcus.
Did you see when Michael Irvin talked about how he got his gold jacket, going through gold jackets like Deion Sanders, Darrell Green? Like, again, ladies and gentlemen, these are phenoms. Like, these are people aren't going to be there's not a lot of Darrell Greens, Deion Sanders walking around in the NFL. So these guys are above average in the NFL. They are the top for the position in the game in general. And again, 3 catches for 27 yards, no touchdowns. Like, that's a phenomenal. Like, you are out there on an island as a cornerback a lot of times by yourself. And if you make a mistake or you don't read people's hips right or their movement right, you could give up a touchdown. That's a lot of pressure. You're on an island by yourself. So that's, again, cornerback and tackles are especially tense. If you don't do it right, things bad could happen. So that's a lot of pressure constantly on that football field.
Yeah, you could.
We had that context out there too. I just want to make sure as we continue here on the Jaguar Squad Show, which we appreciate all the new listeners, make sure you leave a comment, subscribe to the Locked On Jaguars channel. Just want to remind you, we're here to talk nuanced football, and the slander for, he got beat once and it was really bad. Like, yeah, some people get burnt toast from time to time, but unless it's happening 7-8 times a game, you need to take it with a grain of salt. So.
In fact, I once told Tony that. I said, Tony, I feel bad for y'all because you can play 62 snaps and do good 61 times. And one time you don't do good, it's going to be on SportsCenter.
Right. So
that's just the way it goes.
That's the way it goes. Before we turn to our new segment, Jag Up, Jag Down, that we stole from the Titan Squad Show, in case you missed it. T-Wigg, another guy who you and I have not only had to defend from time to time here in the Jaguars local media ring, but also someone who you've put on notice at times, and someone who I go way back with from when my grandfather was watching him play in high school. Hines Allen, 2 sacks, 7 pressures, seemingly everywhere, baptized J.C. Latham on multiple occasions today. What do you make of 41's ascent right now over this last 4 or 5 week period? Because there's always the asterisk. We've seen this throughout his career. These 4 to 6 game stretches where he is the best player on the football field, then disappears. Why is this time different?
They need him. And I think this shows you what he can do all the time. In fact, I think it shows you what he pretty much does most of the time. He just doesn't always finish with a sack. You've seen him do it now and actually get the reward. 1, it shows to his perseverance. But 2, when Liam Cohen spoke, and I think you were there, Mia, I know you heard it. One day he said, when they were asking him about pressure, he said, we got to figure it out. How do we get them home? How do we actually finish those plays? We got to get the guys that's basically, I'm paraphrasing, we got the dudes that's playing, we got to figure it out, and then we got to find other people. That's when you start seeing those young guys get a little bit of a chance to come in. So sometimes it's just that if you just keep plugging along, I noticed that players, it just keeps, if you keep going, eventually everything will start working in your favor. So good on him. And by the way, I will tell you this, at training camp, I was walking past him and his wife, and I kind of went around there. And he goes, Wiggins. I turned around. He said, good stuff on that pod, man. So he's heard me beat up on him before.
No, he listens to everything now.
And he doesn't take that stuff, like I became good friends with the OGM, and there was nobody, not Trent Baalke, but the one before that, Dave Caldwell, who just got a job today.
Shout out to Dave, everybody. Yeah. Shout out to Dave.
Dave told his wife I was trying to fire him all the time. And me and him had a conversation right there in front of our old ladies. And my wife said, leave him alone. He's a nice guy. I said, I'm not going to leave him alone. And we became friends. So people don't take that as personal or personally as a lot of people think. As long as you're honest about it and you're willing to face them in their face, they're good with it. And Josh, I'm happy for him, man, because I never try to do this, but let me tell you something. I'm sure football was not the most important thing for him the last year. Okay. We all know what happened with his family, and his beautiful son rang that bell, man. And I'm thinking that, you know, maybe there's a little bit lifted off of his shoulders. And that's something we all can really, really put in his place and understand that, man, look, you talking about sacking a quarterback, and I'm thinking about something else. So God bless him and his family, man. But he played his butt off today. He's been earning that money all of this week. Now the Jaguars do have a number one alpha edge rusher. When they get Trayvon back, this is what I'm talking about. This is that blue sky. You got Jordan Lewis back. Eric Murray window is open. Trayvon may come back around the corner. Devin Lloyd, I'm telling you, man, they're getting greased up. They're getting ready for a nice run.
And as Vincent says, not only did Josh Hines Allen have the backdrop of his son's cancer battle over this last year, he says, I think him beating the sack record, the Jaguars all-time sack record, took some pressure off his shoulders. Now he can just go out there and play. Will Josh Hines Allen be among the players in our Jag Up, Jag Down stock report? That's coming up next here on the Locked On Jaguars channel. It's the Jaguar Squad Show.
Today's show is brought to you by our friends over there at Peloton. Look, folks, it's time to break through the busiest time of the year with a brand new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus that's powered by Peloton IQ. It's Peloton's most elevated technology and equipment yet that gives you real-time guidance, and it gives you endless ways to move, whether you want to work out by yourself or if you want to work out with your favorite instructor, like my personal favorite, Alex Toussaint. He always gets me fired up to tackle the day. And the thing I like about Peloton, it helps me achieve more in less times. They have features that help you plan, stay motivated, track your progress, and Peloton IQ also provides personalized workout plans and recommendations. That's something that I use right now during the busiest time of the year covering the NFL. They plan my workouts for me based on my mood, my vibe, and also my favorite instructors. So make sure you check it out and use it, because it also helps you correct your form in real time, and it maximizes your reps. It counts your reps so that you can do it smarter, safer, and more efficient. Let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
Welcome back into the Jaguar Squad Show. As our friend in the chat, which of course we encourage you guys to interact with us here. It's an interactive program here. Hour-long post-game show. The gaming fits. Jags record 8-4. It is the first time the Jaguars are 8-4 since 1997. So everybody who's panicking about, oh my goodness, 8-3, we know what happened in 2023. Do not be burdened by what has been. I already had to tell my good friend Aaron online. I had to say, enough with the being burdened by what has occurred previously in this franchise's history. Liam Cohen was not here in 2023. James Gladstone wasn't even in middle school in 1997. It is time, folks, to look forward into what this group can possibly do. And now that I've gotten off that rant, it's time for a new segment here on the Jaguar Squad Show. I was a guest of the Titan Squad Show on the Locked On Podcast Network earlier this week, and they do a weekly segment, because there's nothing else to talk about in Nashville these days, called Tighten Up, Tighten Down. A little stock report, Marcus. Who for you? What players stood out the most, raised their stock in Duval with this 25-3 win? And who's a player who maybe in your book might have taken a slight step back?
Well, for sure, it was Josh Hines Allen took a step up. 2 sacks, 7 pressures. And people don't understand something, right, T-Wig? Getting a sack in the National Football League is not as easy as you think it is. It's about not just getting rid of the guy in front of you. It's about getting rid of the guy, closing on the quarterback. These quarterbacks are, I'm 6'5.5". Trevor's all 6'6". Josh Allen 6'5". Like, these are not small human beings. To get to them, bring them down, and bring them down for a sack behind the line of scrimmage is not as easy as you think it is. So to get 2 sacks, 7 pressures, be all over the quarterback, that's great. Again, for as far as down goes, again, while he was in the game, I think Walker Little had some things that didn't go his way. That could have been a little bit more. Again, as a former lineman, I understand how hard it truly is, so I totally get it. But again, T-Wig said it best. They're gearing up for a big push. 8-4, they're getting healthy. The left tackle spot is key for them to really make a deep run into the playoffs. So I really want to see him just continue to go through his progressions. He's going to have ups, he's going to have downs, but just keep going through the tough times and show some resilience. And again, when it matters most, to show up and give T. Lawrence just a little bit more time in the pocket and just be a little bit more firm. I'd rather see him get beat by getting bulled than him get beat by like not punching or getting a soft shoulder, or what we do we call swing the gate. When you play left tackle or tackling swings, if your outside foot ends up swinging like to like a 65-degree angle, it should always be at a 45. When that back foot swings before 3 yards, all you're doing is say, hey, I'm giving you my outside shoulder. Here's a fast lane to the quarterback. You're always taught, stay 45, stretch the guy towards the sideline, only bail and open after about a 5-yard progression deep into your set that you can run him by. Anything before 5 yards, you're risking him getting pushed into the quarterback. So just be a little more firm with that outside foot and just get guys stretched, like stretch that damn pocket. Just get them to the sideline. They want to go vertical, right? You want to take them horizontal.
As Lone Wolf says in the chat, our most expensive players have been playing very well the past few weeks. I'm curious if you would echo that sentiment, Tony Wiggins, with your Jag up and your Jag down.
Yeah, my Jag up. I'm going to go with Brian Thomas Jr. up because to see those two catches, look, it's going to be baby steps, man. And he doesn't even have to play as well as he played last year. He just has to play better than he played this year.
Quick asterisk, T-Wig. I also think that what's important to note is not only will he have a large glide path back to the starting lineup, but also I don't think as much is going to be asked of him as was asked of him at the onset of the season. And so that's also going to help him ease his way back.
That's exactly what's going to help him. And now you look up and see Jacoby Myers getting 6 for 90, and now Brenton Strange is back. Now, man, today almost looked like pitch and catch a little bit, because we could sit here and say the running game didn't work as well. I thought the running game was effective, even though it didn't get a lot of yards. It was effective because it looked like the Titans did everything they could to stop them. And a lot of those crossing patterns were open because those linebackers were up. Therefore, it created a bigger window and a clearer path for those guys to catch balls that weren't considered quote unquote hospital balls. That was probably the same passes Trevor's been throwing, but he was throwing into a less crowded room. My down, I'm gonna go with Walker Little again. I'm gonna do it for this reason, because I don't want people to overreact. But this isn't the overreaction. This is he's gonna face a lot of players better than Jihad Ward.
Yeah,
Hottie ain't. I like him, but that's nothing compared to what. And that play, Hottie made him look terrible. I mean, you can't be spinning around pirouette trying to find. And it's like Ogden said, he'd rather just get beat on a bull rush than get beat on something where he just didn't get his hands up properly and he had a bad angle, because those super, super clean shots, that was close to the Jaguars' goal line. So what can happen is you get a little bit of a better player that knows how to be a little more sudden and create a turnover. That's a very costly sack, because now it switches field position and it puts the team in scoring range. So those are the things that I hope he can improve on. Though it was only one play, the one play itself, it's like we used to see one play with I can't even remember the dude's name. They picked out Texas A&M, but Luke Jokel. We used to see Luke Jokel make bad plays, right? But they were we'd be in the press box and Joker would be on the ground. And it's like, oh my God, it just looks so bad when you fall like Shaq and your legs are in the air like you're about to deliver a baby.
Hey, now this is a Justice for Dave Caldwell show, lest we forget. Friend of the
yeah, man, but it just looks so bad when stuff like that happens. So you just hope that when they play a better player, he won't look really, really bad.
Real quick, before we get to my stock report, because I will get away from the offensive line talk, because we'll circle back to it when it comes to the injury impacts and the updates we've gotten so far and how it'll affect the Jaguars moving forward. Robert Hainsey and Ezra Cleveland, actually, when all is said and done, I believe will be the offensive lineman who will be charged with Jeffrey Simmons' lone sack in this game, although obviously Simmons had multiple pressures. And he honestly carried the two of them. And so I'm not trying to take some of the hatred away from Walker and place it elsewhere, because I thought both of those players, outside of one pre-snap penalty from Hainsey in the first quarter, I thought played perfectly fine. But I do want to note that it wasn't like Walker Little was just getting abused, and that was where the Titans defensive line was focusing most of their efforts. And if anything, I mean, like there were a couple times Anton Harrison in his return to the lineup had a pre-snap penalty as well. And I thought, and I'm curious if either of you have an opinion on this before we move on, I thought, and this was a little surprising to me, and I'd have to go back and watch the all 22 tomorrow, there were moments where I felt like those running backs who love to run behind the left guard were running behind the right guard. We're running behind the right tackle. And that was a little interesting to me. And that's not to deter from Ezra Cleveland's performance and what him and Robert Hainsey have been able to do, especially when this team runs a gap scheme run game. Like, they're very effective. And the Titans clearly made it a point of emphasis to stop the run. But just a little note, like, I know we all want to pile on Walker Little, but there are some other people who, when the PFF numbers come out, it's going to come for them too. Just so we got that one clear.
Yeah, of course it will. It will. And that's why I wanted to make sure we prefaced it. But it's hard to beat up on anybody when you win 25-3.
Amen.
Correct.
So, I would have said the whole damn team for getting those penalties, but then that's not specific enough for that, because they really do have to clean that. I mean, I think they were in double digits again today with penalties. And it's like, I get it, but at some point it's like, okay, man, come on. You blocking the dude on the other side of the field. It negated like a 15-yard run, and I'm like, it ain't had nothing to do with that. Those are the ones that kill me. The play ain't even coming over there. What are you holding that dude for? You can just stand there. So that kind of stuff really gets under my nerves a little bit.
I was just telling two of my high school offensive linemen that I coached today, if the ball is going away from you, as in the running game, outside stretch or that hole that's like 3 removed or more, right? Your job is to cut the guy off and make him go behind you. That's it. And here's the thing. If you know the ball is going, I said, 3 holes more over. So let's say your right tackle, you have the 4-hole, 6-hole. If it's going like that 1 hole, 3 hole or further over, there is no reason to put your hands out in a situation and clamp down. No reason at all. In reality, you need to be going for a cutoff block where you take a good hard angle step and take your backside arm, throw it across your body like you're doing a rip move as a D lineman. Rip underneath them, get your elbow hooked into their armpit and ride and get them behind you. Once they're behind you, take your arm, pull it down, and it's over. It's over. There's no need to extend your hands on running plays if it's going 3 spots or more away from you, because all you're doing is giving an opportunity for a hold to be called. So I don't know why people do that. Just be a D lineman, rip underneath them, get their backside arm hooked. Once it's hooked and they're behind you, pull down, let go, ball's gone. It's over.
Owen chimes in. BJ Green is his Jag who is up. He's a heavy hitter. I would agree with that sentiment, especially after watching the sounds of the game back from the Jaguars in-house channel, Owen. A lot more BJ Green against the Cardinals than I realized watching that game in real time. And I think you'll see when you go back and watch this game from today, a lot more BJ Green as well. My Jag up will be from the defensive line, and it's a player that 28 minutes into this program we somehow, some way have not talked about. Devon Hamilton, the backup long snapper. Who would have thought? I'm not just picking him because of his heroics. Yes, I know at times he gave a lot of you a heart attack with some high snaps, and Logan Cook's all over the place trying to haul in the snap for the punt. But this is why Devon Hamilton, because of those heroics, coupled with this, is my Jaguar who is up this week. On the opening drive, the Titans gashed the Jaguars defense on the ground for 39 rushing yards. Boys, do you know how many yards that the Titans had on the ground the rest of the ball game? Any guesses?
25.
I'm gonna say 28.
On the number, Marcus. Go ahead to Vegas. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
He knew it. He knew it. He knew it. He did some quick. He did some quick. Man, I know he knew it. He knew it.
Well
Of course
done.
I just guessed, dude. I really just guessed, man. I guess.
Listen, shout out to Devon, shout out to Marcus. That's a great job in stopping the run. And the broadcast talked about it consistently throughout on CBS, just how good the Jaguars have been against the run. And Devon Hamilton really coming on here in these last 2 to 3 weeks. And with no Eric Armstead and forced to play with a practice squad player in Matt Dickerson, a journeyman in Austin Johnson, and then Mason Smith still largely unproven next to him in that interior rotation. Not to mention also having to snap the ball on special teams. I thought Devon Hamilton deserves some kudos here on the Jaguars post-game squad show. I would say my Jag down. I'm not going to say Logan Cook or Ross Matisic are down because Matisic, to his credit, was banged up in the first half. Came back in. I guess he's fine because he had enough time to WWE body slam somebody. So I guess his back's okay. Shout out to Ross. Logan, I think that the reason I'm so critical, and that's why my Jag down, spoiler alert, is not the two specialists. It's the return. It's the punt coverage team.
Gotcha.
Because while, yes, multiple times Logan Cook was run into, and you could say that's Logan being smart about it and taking the contact as it comes his way in order to accrue that 15-yard penalty. Why are they that close to him in the first place? Because it's not all Devon Hamilton snapping. Because in the second half, Ross Matisic was the long snapper again. And still, you had way too much traffic around your punter. And that's a little concerning because I thought the kickoff coverage and the return coverage has been better the last few weeks. A little concerning, boys, to see that many light blue jerseys that close to your punter. And it's a credit to Logan that he was able to get the punt off. Although, I'm starting to wonder, man, I don't know what got into his brain, like heat of the moment. Like, I mean, Marcus, maybe you could speak to this. Like, I mean, you don't always see the punter going out looking for a fight. The long snapper, maybe, yes. But, something got into Logan Cook today.
Well, here's the thing, right? And T-Wig said it best. Some players can get to know a little bit about your personal life and start talking a little smack on the field, and we don't know what's been said to him or what's been going on around, who's chirping in his ear, and you can get a little bit feisty out there. I mean, again, this is a very physical, dominating game. So when you feel you're being tested, things like that, sometimes you lose your cool, and sometimes you kind of just want to say, hey, look, man, you know what? You can say what you want to say, but it's going to cost you. So, at the end of the day, I mean, I say when you win 25, that's actually the best game time to do it because it's not going to cost you anything. But in reality, you got to watch it because, again, in games where, like you said, it gets down to the wire, stuff like that, penalty, things like that can be a big, or issues like that could be a big thing going forward. But it's football, man. I mean, I need some guys who were like, I played with some guys who were like really, really aggressive, man. I mean, it was like that T-Wig, Deuce, Hanson, like our punter, Deuce, man, you tripping Deuce too much, boy. He was a country boy, man. He let you know, and he wasn't gonna like back down from anything, man. So I mean, I play with some guys who are feisty like that. I mean, it's not uncommon.
Yeah, I think for him, the concern I have is one, Mia, you're right. If it's repeated, like they play next week, I know Joe Hastings, who's assistant special teams coach with the Colts, he's probably the dude that's watching that, and he's like, they kept getting close to him. So it's going to be on tape. And now, if they're a little bit better, that's going to be an issue, especially if you're punting from your own end zone or whatever, right? The other thing is that chipping is probably when the referee goes, his foot hit the ground and he got a little bump, but we ain't calling that. There ain't no foul on that play. So to me, that's telling me, oh, okay, so you say it's okay for them to hit me. So I got to deal with that myself. Since you won't do anything about it, I'll do it. And then he goes out there and on a long return, he's a big dude. We always talk about that in training camp. He look like a tight end. But now it's a difference with Devon Hamilton filling in for the long snapper than Cam Little filling in for you if you're hurt with a shoulder because you want to press the line with this dude that's been chirping at you all game. And now you get out here and get hurt, showing people how physical you are. Having a substitute punter is way different than having a substitute long snapper.
Ross Matisic did return to this win for your Jacksonville Jaguars, 25-3 after being sidelined with a back injury. Wide receiver and punt returner Parker Washington did not. We discuss what that means for the Jaguars moving forward, coming up next here on the Jaguar Squad Show postgame show. Hello, friends. If you're a business owner, here's the truth. SaaS promised to make work easier, but now the average company is buried by hundreds of apps that slow down your teams and simply don't work together. That's not SaaS, that's sad. Software as a disservice. That's why you need Rippling. Rippling is the unified platform for global HR, payroll, IT, and finance all in one place. They've helped millions of businesses replace a mess of disconnected tools with one system designed to give leaders clarity, speed, and control. By uniting your employees, teams, and departments in one system, Rippling removes the bottlenecks, busy work, and silos your software created. It's seriously simple to use and gives companies one source of truth for their people, data, and everything they touch. And right now, you could get 6 months free when you go to rippling.com/lockedonnfl. Learn more at rippling.com/lockedonnfl. That's rippling.com/lockedonnfl for 6 months free. Terms and conditions apply. We are back on the Jaguar Squad Show. Parker Washington exited this game with a hip injury. Walker Little exited this game with a concussion. A lot of injuries already coming into this one. As T-Wigg alluded to, blue skies because a lot of players working their way back as well. But let's begin with Washington, who we do not have an update for at this time. The Jaguars still able to handily defeat the Tennessee Titans 25-3. Make no mistake about it, though, boys. When Austin Trammell dropped what would have been an absolute dime from Trevor Lawrence in that second half, couldn't help but think, man, if that's Parker, that may have been 6. I do think, T-Wigg, that not having Washington does affect the Jaguars' ceiling, even if it affects the floor as well. But I think now with Jacoby Myers as your go-to number 1 wide receiver, you've created a little bit more of a buffer, especially with Bretton Strange back, taking a lot of snaps out of the slot. And then if Hunter Long does return next week from a hip injury, since he also did not play today.
Yeah, it hurts. It hurts because Parker's like the little engine that could. You know what I mean? And he's almost like, just think of something that you have that is, okay, so when we travel, we take podcast equipment, we take lights, we take all of this stuff, right? What if you lose your cord to your laptop and leave it home? It's like the thing that you take for granted the most. And now that we're getting Brian Thomas Jr. back and all of these people, and they're getting Jacoby Myers, I don't want to lose anything. I want to keep Parker, because if there's anybody that knows how to play without getting a whole bunch of touches, and the reason why that's important is because you might not call his number because of all of these other people, but he is the one. He's like a middle reliever. He's used to that. He's used to playing on a pinch and getting his number called when it's not called all game. Everybody can't go in cold like that. This dude has built his entire career on doing that. And then he's almost all pro worthy when it comes to the return game. So he represents a little bit more than just a dude that plays the position in numbers like wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, or the F or slot position. What he represents to me is he embodies everything that this team wants. And you know this, he did it in training camp. He was the star of training camp. And this process for us that gets the chance to see that every day, we know that didn't just pop up when somebody got hurt. And then all of a sudden he said, oh, I get my chance now. He's been doing this from day one. And I don't want to lose anything. Hopefully it scared me because, like I said, I've had those core type injuries. Anything that makes you stop in your tracks like you're getting stabbed, that always scares the life out of me, man. 2 hips, hernia, diverticulitis. I've had stuff that will make you stand still. And when I saw that, I was like, man, I don't like that. Doesn't look good.
The fact, though, T-Wigg, that they diagnosed, they said, or at least if only in the injury report, in the injury update, they said hip injury. That gave me a little comfort. Maybe it's false comfort because I'm right there with you. I assumed immediately that's a hernia. That's a minimum of 2 months. That's it. And when it was diagnosed as a hip, I mean, we're not going to try to play doctors here on the Jaguar Squad Show, but I'm curious, either you or Marcus, what your initial thought was in terms of what the injury could be.
So I'm going to tell you this. If it's a hip injury, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. That concerns me. because I actually went to get full body stem cell injection procedure about 7 weeks ago as a result of my right hip being in so much pain for the last almost 3 years. A hip is very, very important to a wide receiver, a corner, and a tackle, more than any other field, because the hip is what you press off on, what you cut off on, what you end up like. And what did T-Wig say? You need guys that can go into the middle of traffic, who are going to go get those balls. If you have a bad hip, you get concerned. Am I going to get hit from this side? I'm going to get hit from that side. So that concerns me. So I'm hoping it's low grade. Now, he's young enough where he should have enough stuff in his body to help heal it, all with the great trainers. But I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it. A hip as a receiver can be very problematic, especially if it's something where it's a deeper than just like a minor injury. So I hope he can get back on the field quickly. But again, I'm not going to make any statement. I don't know how bad it is. But again, like T-Wig said, Thomas Jr. is back, right? You got Jacoby Myers now. You said it beautifully, Mia. Like, Brian does not have to be the number one like he was at the beginning of the season. So Jacoby Myers has been a great addition. But again, Parker Washington was doing some great things, in that spot, in the punt return game, and again, he could do his thing by focusing on Brian, focusing on Jacoby Myers, and he was able to get a lot of those one-on-one coverages, sneak into those soft spots of the zone. So yeah, having him on the field is a great boost to the Jaguars throwing game. So I'm hoping he can get back soon. But yeah, I mean, a hip, if it is that for me, it's a little concerning.
And I had one replaced, and I need the other one replaced. Let me tell you what kills you. If you have to start and stop suddenly.
Yep.
Which is the whole name of the game.
And so people knew not to. My family knew not to suddenly walk into a room and startle me, because if they did and I jumped, it would literally feel like somebody stabbed me in my hip. So, and it's weird because going up the stairs didn't bother me. Coming down did. So it's like you never know how it's going to react with those. There's a lot of nerve endings that run through there. And so when you see him reaching up and you see him go, those all nerves. And I'm telling you, that's what, and I'm not a doctor, but I have experience. It is all, don't nothing make you suddenly jump like that other than your nerves. And so it's I just really, really hope that it's something that they can get worked out, get the kink stretched out, because he is a dude, 4 touches. 4 or 5 touches a game. Doesn't need volume. He just has a super, super impact. And you see with him returning the ball the way he does, he's really good with the ball. When he gets the ball, he's like a running back because of the way he's built. And guys in the secondary at that second and third level just aren't used to dealing with people like that.
For the sake of time, we will keep it moving. We will keep our fingers crossed when it comes to Parker Washington's injury. The good news is Liam Cohen did offer a little bit of an update on Eric Armstead post-game, who did try to work out that hand injury. I don't know what it was, but it occurred during Thursday's Thanksgiving practice, evidently, that was sparsely attended by media members. He was considered a full participant on Friday, so many people believed, oh, he's good to go. Everything will be fine. Then we get the late night text last night in the Jaguars media group chat that, no, actually he is going to be questionable going into the game. Warmed up pregame at Nissan Stadium, ultimately could not go. Liam Cohen saying in part during the postgame here today that they're reassessing and that hopefully he will be available next week. Obviously, the Jaguars were able to get a win 25-3 today against the Tennessee Titans. Not sure, Marcus, they could say the same next week without Armstead's services against the Indianapolis Colts.
Oh, you're talking about a much better offensive line with the Colts, right? Without a doubt. They've got probably one of the best guards in football. They have a phenomenal way of not a lot, and that running back, they run the football exceptionally well. So this is a game where Armstead, I feel, will be needed desperately because, again, gives them a lot more size, a lot more, reach at that tackle spot to keep those guards off the second level. And again, that's why the Colts have been doing so great this year. They combo block the D lineman up to the linebacker so well that, Jonathan, all he's doing, he just continues to run through it. By the time he gets to the second level, they're not touching him or they're trying to reach out for like an arm tackle. And he's too big, too fast, too strong for that. So in reality, this is why the Colts have been doing so well this year. They run the football well, and they combo block for what we call that 2-to-1 from the line up to the linebacker spot. They do a phenomenal job, which is why they can continue to win. So they need Armstead, any type of like size, pressure, awareness that can be on that D line. They have to bring it this coming Sunday.
Hang on that thought real quick, Marcus, because when we come back, we are going to look back at the week that was in the AFC South, the matchup up at Nissan Stadium, as well as what went down at Lucas Oil Field today between the Indianapolis Colts and the the Houston Texans. Tennessee Titans as well, but at 1-11, we're kind of moving on from there. You are listening to the Jaguars Squad Show here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Hello, friends. The NBA is back. There's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or want to ride that hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Welcome back to the Jaguars Squad Show. One segment to go on this post-game Sunday. We are going to look ahead slightly to next Sunday when the Jaguars host the Indianapolis Colts with first place on the line. If the season ended today, according to the various criteria and tiebreakers, the Big Cats would be in first place and the AFC South champions, but there are still 5 games to play, a whole lot to get to. Let's begin with this, Marcus. You were bringing up the great point about this idea of if Eric Armstead can't go, that offensive line for the Colts, Jonathan Taylor, that is X factor, the biggest X factor for you. T-Wigg, let's start with you. Did you have Texans Colts on maybe in the background, keeping tabs on that one? And if so, just curious your thoughts, especially knowing, of course, the Jaguars already split with the Texans. And we saw firsthand when the Jaguars went to NRG Stadium 3 weeks ago, what sort of threat Houston, now on a 4-game win streak, presents.
I was broken up about who I wanted to actually win. Did I want the Colts to win to keep a 2-game lead, knowing that the Jaguars would have 2 opportunities to knock them off, but it would create more distance between Jacksonville and Houston? But then when I saw it, I liked the way it looked with 8-4 and 8-4 tied at the very top. And now Houston's probably wanting the Colts to beat us next week. That's what they probably want because they don't see us again. So the thing is I was a little bit torn about it, but I did watch it. And mainly from the standpoint of trying to figure out if Daniel Jones can move around on a fractured fibula and how good of a job that they would do to knock him off of his square. But they have some dangerous pieces, man. Downs is a good he can a little wide receiver who can catch little short passes. Alec Pierce down the field, of course. And then the ultimate compliment to having a great running back that linebackers and safeties have to be wary of is having a great tight end that those same people have to watch them. So you're going to get a double dose of greatness with those 2 people. And that's why I'm glad Jordan Lewis is back. And I'm hoping that Eric Murray can make his way back, or Antonio Johnson can keep playing the way he's playing. Devin Lloyd's in full swing because they're going to need all of those dudes in the middle of that defense to stop that tight end and that running back next week.
So, Marcus, needless to say, I know Jonathan Taylor and stopping him is number 1 on your scouting report heading into this weekend. But for you, what else coming out of this 25-3 win for the Jaguars is something that you say, hey, gotta sharpen this in order to counter Indianapolis next week?
You're going to have to do a phenomenal job at being, as T.W. says, being sticky in the secondary because they got Michael Pittman Jr., who's done a phenomenal job at that wide receiver position. The tight end's great. And again, Jacksonville, I feel, as long as they do a good job at controlling the 2 gap and not getting pushed back a yard to yard and a half off the ball and from the D-line perspective, they'll do okay against Jonathan Taylor. He's always going to have his yards, and that's football, but they'll do a good enough job. My concern is that if they do too much focus on Jonathan Taylor and they open up in that we call those soft spots, with that 20-yard middle with those drags and those, those kind of like those, skinny posts, things like that from the tight end or from the slot receiver, and they keep getting beat for like those 15, 18-yard passes down the field because they're so heavily focused on Jonathan Taylor. That's going to be what I feel the problem could be. So they have to be very alert in the secondary. And again, not let anything behind them. Because again, the Colts do have some big receivers. They're aggressive. They play well. They ball hawk well. They can time their jumps well. So you got to let the front four really do a good job of trying to go two-gap Taylor. And then don't fall for the play action. Don't fall for the misdirection. And keep yourself in a good, consistent, position.
I'm a little stunned that no one in the chat, no one in the YouTube comments has mentioned that the Colts have yet to beat the Jaguars in a decade at Everbank Stadium or any of its previous names. And that's probably a good thing, T-Wig, because as you led off the show by saying, the Jaguars aren't treating this like a gimme game. Neither are their fans. And that's encouraging to hear. Now, with that said, it's not just Jonathan Taylor and the pass catchers for Indianapolis that present a threat. Grover Stewart, in my opinion, one of the most underrated defensive linemen in the league. Yes, DeForest Buckner must miss one more game on the reserve injured list as he works his way back from his own injury. But who for you on defense do you say, that's going to potentially be somebody that Trevor Lawrence and company are going to have to account for?
Nick Cross, the safety. I think Nick Cross, he's a bit of a ball hawk. He's sideline to sideline. And I know Nick Cross because he went to DeMatha. He's from the DMV, and I wanted him to come to Florida State, but he did not. He chose to stay home and go to Maryland. So I tracked his career.
He's just locking it down up there. Let it happen.
Yeah, man. He's a good football player, man. So they got to watch him. But I tell you what, keep an eye on why Sauce Gardner left the game today. He left and did not come back. And that was in the first half. Say it again.
He was in a boot, too.
See? So now this big addition that the Colts made to get them over the hump ain't there anymore. And the other guy, Charvarius Ward, he just got back. I think there's going to be some opportunities in the secondary. And I think the Colts, because Daniel Jones is limited, are going to try to run him back and tight end you to death because Jones probably doesn't want to do all that rolling out and five-step dropping. But I would probably think about blitzing him a little bit to make sure he gets rid of the ball quickly so he can't get the ball down the field. But the main thing is they're going to try to limit possessions. The Colts are going to want this to be – this is what the Colts want. We get the ball, you punt it back to us into the first quarter. They really want you to have 2 or 3 possessions before the half next week. They got to make sure it doesn't happen. The Jaguars have to score points. And I like what they did today. Even when they were ahead 25-3, they kept throwing it. You know why? Because it was working. They had the deep middle passing game open for Trevor Lawrence on those crossers. You're going to have to make sure that you get that stuff because they need to start scoring points in the high 20s and the low 30s down the stretch to make sure that they can win a large chunk of these games and get themselves into the playoffs.
As Robert also wants to remind us, even though several of you don't want to jinx that winning streak against the Colts at home, Robert does remind us that the Jags will be in those Prowler throwback jerseys. They have worn them twice so far this year, 2-0 in those uniforms. Marcus, handicap it for me. Not just the AFC South, but the AFC playoff picture as it currently stands. Who for you impressed in this 1 o'clock window on Thanksgiving Day? Or maybe it's a team in the NFC that you're already looking ahead to the postseason, the Super Bowl, and you're like, maybe this is a team to watch.
You know what? So every Friday on News Nation Live, I go on with Marnie Hughes and I talk about college football or the NFL. And this past week, I talked about the Bears against the Eagles, and I picked the Bears to win. And T-Wig, we talk about this all of the time. You run the football, you win. 251 yards rushing in between the tackles, going at Jalen, the D tackle like that, the big D tackle from Georgia who's supposed to be Mr. Everything for Philadelphia. They ran right at his butt, and it had 251 yards of rushing inside the tackles. Any football team that can run the football and plays lights out defense is going to be a very, very troublesome team for me. So the Bears, in my opinion, in the NFC look really good. On the AFC, I'm going to go with the Patriots. Again, came out of nowhere. Nowhere. Everybody thought the Bills were going to dominate that division. 4-0 to start, and look what they're at. They've won 2 out of 6 down the stretch. The Patriots, again, lights out defense. And the quarterback does not turn the football over. They make the plays when they're supposed to make the plays. So again, what the Jaguars have to do is just keep doing what they're doing on defense and keep making the big plays when they're supposed to. Tony, if the Jaguars can get a good, solid running, like 100 to 150 yards rushing per game down the stretch, with the great throws that Trevor's been doing, the defense playing like they've been playing, they're going to make a push. But they've got to pick up the running game, because the running game is going to open up the passing game down the stretch into the playoffs, into trying to go for that Lombardi trophy. But so again, answer your question, Mia, the Bears in the NFC and the Patriots in the AFC. If the Jaguars want to be in that spot, they just got to pick up the running game. They can do that. They're right there at the top.
Houston scares me.
108, you rushed. Oh, sorry, T. I was going to note the Texans were able to run for 108 yards against the Colts today.
Yeah, and Houston scares me. That's the team that scares me, because they can play defense. They can play defense, and they can rush the passer with 4 people. And they're getting their quarterback back, and they got some running backs back, and the offensive line has been much maligned, but they're playing better. I don't think we realize how many games they've been winning lately, because at some point they looked like they were 1 game away from being eliminated. And now they're right there on the heels, on our heels, 1 game behind the Jaguars. But I'm still impressed with Jacksonville. I cover this team so closely. I just think that they are a different type of competitive. I remember a few years back, Mia, you probably remember John Harbaugh being mic'd up talking to Miles Jack, saying, "Man, you guys, y'all record ain't that good, but y'all sure play hard, and we appreciate that." Yeah, but you know what? Thank you. Appreciate it. Pat me on the head. But I look up, it's 37-12. I don't want to hear that crap. They're playing hard now, but they're playing hard now in a competitive way, to where it's always hard trying to win. Like, it's good for pat them on the back now, because they're 8-4. And they'll probably tell you a little bit on the inside, they don't feel like they played real clean. And if you're 8-4, you ain't played your best football yet, and I don't think they have played their best football that they can actually play. Look, man, I'm excited about what we got going.
We've got people in the comments already trying to maneuver. Well, if you lose next week and these teams win, you're out of the postseason picture. I will just tell you what's been told to me by multiple people at the Miller Electric Center. Win the next one. Win the next one, and you'll figure it out from there. And that is the approach that this team is taking. Quite simply, cliche as it sounds, 1 game at a time is the next biggest game in franchise history.
1 game at a time. And a lot of those teams, too, we're not looking at their schedule. They got to play
the Texans play the Chiefs, by the way, folks.
Yeah, they got to play each other.
At Arrowhead.
Yeah, all of these teams, they got to play somebody else hard. And these teams the Chargers got to still play the Chiefs, and the Chiefs got to play the Broncos again. So all of these teams got somebody that they got to play. The Bills got to play. They probably got to play
the Texans too. Those 2 teams have to face each other.
It's all good. Just handle your business. Just me versus me. Remember, that's the motto. Me versus me. Just play to the standard that you play up to each and every week, and you'll be all right. I think the Jaguars got a chance to win, if not all of their games, all but maybe one of them.
Well, like I said, man, the Colts can be beat, period. I mean, they were doing well but the Colts can be beat. And everybody that they're playing can be beat. Again, if you run the football and can pick up that part of your game, take a little bit more pressure off T. Lawrence, and again, eat up a little more of that clock and give your defense a little bit more time to stay fresh. They're already doing great. That's holding 3 points. But if you keep people a little bit more fresh by running the football and getting some first downs and eating up that clock, it's like I said, man, if Lawrence doesn't turn the ball over, the running game picks up, and the defense keeps playing the way it is, the Jaguars are going to make a push going into the playoffs, and they can make a really, really push for that Lombardi trophy. It's got to stay consistent and don't take your eye off the prize.
The calendar flips to December tomorrow. The Jacksonville Jaguars have 8 wins, and if only today, firmly in the playoff picture. That is something we haven't been able to say around here in quite some time. But as many of the folks who were here 2 years ago know, even though, as I said, we do not want the past to burden us anymore, you cannot allow for it to dictate how you look into the future. Yes, the Jaguars, many of them who were a part of this team 2 years ago, have experienced an 8-3 campaign that then came tumbling down. As Trayvon Walker told me in the locker room, though, a few weeks ago, he was also a part of a 3-6 team that turned it around and finished 9-8. What outcome will we see this year? We're glad to be along for the ride with you guys here on the Locked On Jaguars channel and the Jaguars Squad Show. T-Wig, what do we got popping this week here on the channel? We will be back Wednesday, by the way, for those of you keeping score.
Always Victory Monday, of course. We're gonna take it one day at a time. We ain't gonna go past Wednesday because we got the Squad Show coming up again Wednesday. That's what we got. But we got Victory Monday, and of course, we're just gonna take inventory on Tuesday like we always do. Look at the injuries, look at who's available, who may be coming back, and talk about what a path to the AFC South Division Championship.
Liam Cohen expected to meet with reporters at some point tomorrow. And so when that happens, perhaps we will have a little bit more clarity as well on some of those injuries for T-Wig's show here on Locked On Jaguars on Tuesday. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us here on the Jaguars Squad Show. We will be back on Wednesday. Join us live. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you missed any of today's show, you can catch it on demand wherever you get your podcasts. Until Wednesday, we will catch you later.